The individual, it's my right to choose what I want to do. I mean, I've been given life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what the Constitution says. So if I want to change my genders, why is that even your problem? If I want to be involved with another man, or if I'm a woman who wants to be involved with another woman, why is that a problem?
There's a kind of individualism that is proper to Christianity, okay? Because Christianity is very clear that each individual is responsible before God for what they do and don't do.
Right.
So there's a very important sense of individualism that's part and parcel. You could say in a way that Christianity invented the individual, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
that's a very strong argument.
There's a very important sense in which individualism is wrapped up in Christianity.
And actually, and I'll let you get back here, but Christianity developed the idea of children having rights.
Indeed, absolutely, that is absolutely true. Yeah. In fact, that's why so many women were drawn to Christianity in the early days, because in the Roman Empire, the pater familias, the father, had the right to kill the child. He had the right to expose a child that he didn't want. And so if a woman were to marry a Christian man, she knew he wouldn't do that to her.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have to be worried about that. So that was one of the things.
And now we're defending the right for the woman to do what they protested against with the man back in the
Right. It's been repackaged. All of these things have been individualism, equality, freedom. All of those things which have a proper Christian understanding have all been twisted and subverted and perverted into something that is not correct, and really in the end inhuman. I mean, the ideology that we're living with now is harmful to people. It's inhuman. Right. So what you wanted to ask about was individualism. Right?
Well, the idea that we have these individual rights, but when I talk to people, I say public policy needs to be crafted with the family unit at the focus, because the individual will not live by himself or herself from birth.
That's right.
The individual is given life by the family. So when you craft public policy, I'm not saying deny the individual rights, but the family that brings up the children, that creates moral values in the child's mind, that provides for them. So on some of the issues, like, when it comes down, for instance, to divorce, I want a divorce, I get it no matter what.
Right.
But it's not in the best interest of the children or the family.
Right.
And I think that public policy should be looking at what is in the best interest of the family.
Well, everybody has a stake in it. I mean, the point is that the mother and the father both have rights and responsibilities with respect to the children. The children have rights and responsibilities with respect to their parents.
Can you delete that word responsibilities? All we want to talk about is rights. I'm joking. But that is exactly, you talk about responsibilities.
Well, actually, children as children don't have responsibilities to their parents.
Right.
When they become adult children, they may.
Yes.
Right. But adults definitely have responsibilities, and they're reciprocal rights and responsibilities, and we have a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah.
If we only think in terms of individual rights, you can't see that.
Yeah.
That's all invisible then.
Yeah.
See, and so that language. If you take that out of a true social context, you miss all of that. And so for a long time, we've been looking at the individual versus the collective, capitalism versus collectivism, capitalism versus communism. Well, there's another whole category in there, which is social, which is not either. It's not the government. It's not the private. It's something different. And so that's the sense that has been lost. And actually, the first book that I wrote, which I didn't bring to this conference. The first book that I wrote was called Love and Economics, and the original subtitle of that book was Why the Laissez-Faire Family Doesn't Work.
Yeah.
And I was trying to convince my economist friends, my laissez-faire free market economist friends, why you couldn't have a libertarian society if the parents and children aren't connected to each other. Because if children don't have the support and love and attachment with their parents, if they don't have that, they're going to grow up to be people who cannot use their freedom. They're going to grow up to be people who are going to run roughshod over other people. They're not going to have a conscience, not going to be able to control themselves. You're going to need a lot of tax dollars to spend to control those kids who are out of control, And I wrote that book in 2001, and the years that have passed since then, I have seen no reason to change a single word of it. In 2001, there were not that many mass shooters. There were not that many unhinged people going around shooting everybody they could see.
Yes.
And if you look at the guys who do these mass shootings, most of them, and in fact, I can't think of an exception, most of them had either divorced parents or no father at all.
Yeah.
Right, and so there's no brakes on them.
Right.
Right, and there's something lacking in the psyche.
Yeah.
And it's just getting worse and worse and crazier and crazier. People go around talking about other issues that are completely, beside the point, really.
Right.
The real question is, why is somebody so unhinged that this is their idea of a good time?
Right.
And why are they so vulnerable? What is that? Well, it has to do with not really knowing who they are.
Yeah.
See, because the relationship between the mother and the father is the foundation for the child's personality.
Yes.
It's a foundation for the stability of their development. And so that's why I say every child has a legitimate interest, a legitimate interest that should be protected by law,
Yeah.
an interest in the stability of their parents' union.
Yeah.
And that's what we can't see. Because
So-
if it's just individuals, that you can't see that individual baby is somehow different from the individual mother and the individual father.
Right.
But the fact is that baby's in a different category.
Yeah.
That baby can't vote. That baby doesn't have a bank account. That baby can't talk.
Yeah.
So we have different rules about those things.
Yeah.
We need to have different rules about the fact that their dependency is legitimate and understandable,
Yeah.
and therefore places demands on other people.
Yeah. So, I've mentioned that I got to testify in March for the repeal of no-fault divorce.
Right.
And one of the issues that
Unilateral divorce.
Yes, exactly.
Unilateral
Thank you.
divorce.
Thank you.
Unilateral
Forced divorce.
Yeah. What?
Forced divorce.
Forced divorce.
Yeah. Imposed divorce, whatever. But one of the issues another way that I've addressed the issue is with the children. Where are their rights? Because, you're talking about two adults as if they are the only people involved. But the children do not want to see their parents divorced.
That's right.
And where are their rights and who's speaking up for them? And the way that our family code is written in Texas, it's like children don't exist. Like they have no rights.
Right.
And I think that is probably the case in almost every state in America, if it isn't.
See, before no-fault divorce and
Unilateral divorce. I know, go ahead.
Before unilateral divorce, there was a common cultural understanding that parents owed something to children.
Right.
And there was a common cultural understanding that sex makes babies, and so you don't have sex until you're ready to have babies and assume adult responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so what has happened through the sort of accumulative effect of the contraceptive ideology saying you get to have sex without babies and you're entitled to that, that twists people's brains in a way, right? Because they think they're entitled. When the baby comes along, it's like, what are we going to do about this? What a problem. Your whole mindset has become changed. And so now, when people finally do have a baby that they both agree to, it's like, oh, since we agree to it, now the baby has the right to exist, because we decided not to abort it. We could have, but we decided not to abort it.
Yeah.
So the baby now exists, and really they're there as a consumer good for us.
Right.
Because we want the baby. That's why the baby exists, because we want it. Not because they're a unique and unrepeatable gift from God.
Yeah.
Not because we have now obligations to them that are parallel to the obligations our parents had to us.
Yeah.
That whole generational giving from one generation to the next, that's all been interrupted.
Yeah. And you mentioned, when you look at the unwed childbearing, and one of the things that really concerns me is that I see young women, children having children, and they talk about how the baby saved them. The baby has saved their life. Now, often these children also are the product of divorce, as you mentioned, but here is the parent who's supposed to be providing for the child, and the child is meeting that parent's needs by somehow saving them. It's completely twisted. And I'm not saying that there's not fulfillment with your children, that you don't love your children, but baby, you saved my life. Is that the reason you had a baby? Was so the baby would save your life? That's ridiculous.
Right.